Hey, what's up, everybody? It's BDF44 coming at you with another game, another video. Been kind of off balance all day. I don't know, but anyway. So, game four was exciting, man. That was one of the better playoff games I've seen, even though it wasn't uh, a whole lot of fantastic shooting or anything like that. It wasn't a fluent game. It was very physical. Uh, it felt like you were sitting on the edge of your seat the whole time, even though the spread had gotten as bad as, if I'm not mistaken, like almost 20 points. The Clippers were down. They came roaring all the way back with some fantastic play by Reggie Jackson. Zubats played well. Uh, Terrence Mann was huge tonight. Batum played well. They had a lot of stuff working out for them on the Clipper side, but unfortunately, uh, for them, Phoenix Suns played even better. Chris Paul was ready to go, as I figured he would. DeAndre Ayton was monstrous. I think Ayton ended with like 5 blocks, 20 boards, some crazy numbers. Dude was just efficient and monstrous. And, you saw a lot out of the guys. Cameron Payne was able to come back and give them a spark, which was huge. Devin Booker played okay, but he's been in foul trouble. That's the thing about DB. He can't seem to stay out of foul trouble. He ended up ditching the mask somewhere in the third quarter. He just couldn't do it, and did get tapped a little bit on that nose on one play, but ultimately he ended up finishing the game sitting on the bench because of the foul trouble. But his Phoenix Suns were able to pull it out, man. You got to give him credit for being able to withstand uh, what was ultimately a ferocious run by the Clippers after going completely cold in the first half. The Clippers started the game off so cold it wasn't even funny, man. I think they had like 31 points through almost 2 quarters. It was really, really, really bad. But in that third quarter, they came back and pretty much matched their point total with 30 for the third quarter and got themselves back in it. So it did end up becoming a very, very, very intriguing game, despite starting off slow. And I said it, it really was one of those situations where you could kind of anticipate the Clippers uh, coming back because, to be honest with you, they were really getting all the shots that they wanted. They just weren't falling. That's what it really came down to. They had Luke Kennard and Paul George out there in that first quarter. They were getting looks. They were creating space for themselves, but the shots just weren't falling. Ty Lue went away from Kennard, kind of brought in Terrence Mann at that point, and things started to turn around, kind of to focus a little more on Zubats, kind of get a little more going on the inside for themselves, and ultimately were able to kind of get back into it with like I said, stellar play by Reggie Jackson. Can't say enough about that dude. He's just playing phenomenal. But this was the Suns' night, and the reason why they were able to win the game, I think, was because it really just came down to who was able to hit their free throws at the end of the game because it had been so close ultimately all the way through the fourth quarter. It just was anybody's game. And, Paul George was able to hit a couple of free throws but missed a key one that would have helped his team a lot. Then Chris Paul, on the other one end, also missed a free throw that would have helped, but it also hit a few as well. So in the end, it just came down to who was able to edge one another out. Um, and both sides were a little tight. Chris Paul was missing some straightaway jump shots, but the thing about it was, I think what it really came down to was the fact that Coach Lue kind of went away from Zubats and decided to go small down the stretch, and in doing so, kind of took away the rebounding edge from himself. Um, so the Suns were able to get a lot of offensive rebounds down the stretch, and were able to win some of the 50-50 battles. It was a play on the end of that game that was just like the play in game two where the ball had gotten stolen off of a player, but ultimately did in fact go off of the player who was the offensive player's hand. And they could have had it reviewed. The referees did not review that play. Had they reviewed that play, they would have seen that the ball did go off of Cameron Payne's hands in this particular play. And that would have changed things a lot because that would have given the ball back to the Clippers with a chance to tie the game up since they were down 3. But instead, that ended up giving the ball back to the Suns, and they were able to go down there and I think hit one of their free throws, which made it a 4-point spread. That was a huge, huge deal breaker for the Clippers. that play should have been reviewed, um, especially since in this same series 2 nights ago we saw that play reviewed for the other team on the other team's home floor. It's just simply unacceptable. It may have determined this game. And when we talk about the mistakes that players make and players missing free throws and all like that, down the stretch of that game, the referee simply missed an opportunity that really, really determined a lot of what happened down there in the final minute of that game. Um, and I expect the NBA to make a statement about that, to be honest with you, because this is the Western Conference Finals. This is the game 4. This is the final minute of that game. And it's a 3-point spread in a situation like that. There is no excuse for why those referees did not take a look at that play. Period. So that's something that needed to be said. I don't know if anybody's going to make as big a deal out of that or not, but the fact that that same exact play happened 2 nights ago and they did overturn it and did get it right, there's no reason for that to have not been looked at. Too important. Simply too important. So, ultimately, that game could have went either way, man. I predicted that the Clippers were going to come out and win. I think they would have won had they not started off so cold. But you got to give credit to the Phoenix Suns defense in that first half. They were phenomenal defensively. They did help themselves by kind of cleaning things up defensively in the second quarter. Because I said in the first quarter, it seemed like the Clippers were getting all the shots they wanted. They just weren't falling. But in the second quarter, the Phoenix Suns started to clamp it up, as if that were to help situations for the Clippers. But ultimately, as they clamped it up, the Clippers were able to kind of go into the locker room with the understanding of what they needed to do, and were able to come back out and kind of make the game close. So, all in all, this is another one of those games where I say, and it seems like I've said this twice in these conference finals, that the team that played better didn't necessarily win, but because you had players close down the stretch a certain way or miss free throws, certain plays didn't go a certain way, the outcome was as it was. So, this is how it goes, and that's why it's so important for players to take situations where you go into the line very seriously. This is why plays earlier in the game are so important. You definitely don't want to get down the stretch of a game like this and then leave it up to the referees to make good decisions on what happens, because ultimately someone's going to be left unhappy. So that's what I saw tonight, man. Very, very pivotal game with a somewhat unnatural outcome. That's what I took from it. But it was a hard-fought game, very physical. It got a little chippy early on. You can see how these two teams are very competitive. The series is not over, even though it's at 3-1. I think the Phoenix Suns are gonna have to. They're gonna have to pull teeth trying to close these Clippers out in a game 5. Let me tell you, this is not going to be an easy game to win for the Phoenix Suns. But if DeAndre Ayton continues to dominate the way that he did tonight, they're going to have a fantastic opportunity to do just that. So, yeah, man, this was a tough loss if you're a Clipper fan tonight. This was a tough loss because you once again had a game that you had an opportunity to win against this team, and you did not close. That's really the name of the game. That's the name of the game. The Suns have closed better than the Clippers. And Chris Paul's return, to me, even though Chris Paul played better tonight, to me it feels like Chris Paul, like I said in the first game, he's changing the pace of how things are going for the Suns. They have to almost slow down to play with him. And I don't know that that's the easiest thing to do. And that transition has been harder. Now, the fact that Cam Payne came back tonight was a big deal. But it just seems like the adjustment to playing with Chris Paul, they've been able to get away with it. But they have kind of struggled with that. I've noticed they've kind of struggled. But it's not going to get worse. It's only going to get better in that regard. So they've been able to win. So it doesn't matter. The effort out there for the Phoenix Suns, you just got to give them credit. What they were doing defensively, blocking shots and grabbing boards, diving after loose balls, playing defense, lots of energy, a whole lot of energy. So I want to give credit there. You don't see teams go on the road and have that kind of energy 48 minutes. When they were up, they were playing like that. When they were down, they play like that. When the game's tied and close, they're playing with energy, and that's ultimately what you want to see. And the Clippers, on the other hand, actually the same thing. To be honest, they play with a lot of energy, and it's just good to see the effort out there. So yeah, that was a fun game to watch. Ultimately, it was a fun game. Poor shooting, but high energy play, high octane physical play. Guys want it, and nothing will surprise me at this point. This next game could go any way, anyhow. I've been wrong about it. I've been wrong about a lot lately, so I'm just looking forward to seeing good basketball, and yeah, it's gonna be rocking. Phoenix is gonna be rocking. They're gonna be looking to close this team out, and it's headed back home. And what can I say, man? If I'm gonna make a prediction, I'm gonna say the Clippers are gonna win that game. I just don't see the series ending this soon. But it's gonna be tough, man. It's gonna be tough. I imagine that next game is gonna be just as tough as this one. But I don't expect the Clippers to have a 31-point first half. So the Phoenix Suns, they were able to take advantage of that. It's a good thing they didn't lose this game, because that would have been a hell of a game to lose, having a circumstance like that. But they did win the game, and that's the thing. If you're Ty Lue, you look at this and you say, okay, we don't have a whole lot to celebrate. But what we can say is we did find our way back into this game. We could have very easily pulled an Atlanta Hawks and just not fought our way back into it. But the fact of the matter is, you didn't roll over. You kept shooting. You came out the locker room strong. You made your adjustments, and you gave yourself an opportunity. And that's really all you can really ask for. You look at that first half and you see how the game ended. The Clippers shouldn't really hang their head. Just like they shouldn't hang their head after the last game, they shouldn't hang their head after this one. You had opportunities to win. You give yourself another opportunity to win, maybe it goes your way next time. So, I don't think they've played a poor series. To be down 3-1, I don't think you should feel bad. I really don't. I think they've done a good job. Paul George missing free throws, it's tough, man. It's tough, because it's going to be magnified as a bigger deal than what it was. When we look back on it, especially if these Clippers lose this series, those missed free throws, including the one that he missed tonight, is going to be remembered. And I can tell you, as I watched the course of those basketball games, they weren't as important as they're going to be remembered as. He missed some free throws, yes, but he had made some jumpers before that. And in this game, he missed a free throw, yes, but he had made 3 clutch free throws in between that missed free throw. So what are you going to do? You know what I mean? Guys just got to hit their shots. And Chris Paul missed some too. So what are you going to do? Anyway, as a Laker fan, I can say, the Clippers have always done this. Anytime you think the Clippers are going to do something, anytime you get some hope about them, it doesn't work in their favor. But I can say that this team has not disappointed. If you were rooting for the Clippers, you shouldn't feel like this is the same old Clipper energy. It's not. This is a respectable team that's just simply not winning games. So that's how I'm going to remember them. My name is BDF44, and I'm out.